again to Lady Love, where intelligent, awesome women like yourself, CEOs and professionals who are achieving beyond your wildest dreams in your profession. And this is where you find your heart's guardian, the person who loves you for you and gets you. So welcome again. My name is Joan Kenyon-Woods, and I'm your host. And today I have a story about a horrible moment that I just went through. And then I'm going to just relate it to finding that one. So the boiler in my home broke down. And thank God this is New York, but we're in spring, so it wasn't so cold, but we had no heat, we had no hot water. And let me tell you, it is the worst thing to take a cold shower when you really don't need it, like first thing in the morning, right? My poor husband's like, if I take another cold shower, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so we're faced with the dilemma of finding a way to fix this. And here's the story about the boiler men. So we called this company because on the boiler was a number for a company that apparently the previous homeowners had used. This boiler was about 11 years old. And so we called the company, and I got the young lady who I'm assuming was the receptionist. And I asked about the boiler. I said, what could be broken? And in her talk, she told me that they had been twice before. But when I was asking her the questions, I got no answers whatsoever. I said, well, could you please tell me what you think could be wrong with it? And she's like, I don't know. But I said, this is a number to call in case there is a problem. So you fixed it before. And she was just evasive. Then I asked for a plumber. I'm like, could you please put me on to the plumber, the young man who fixed it before, because it was a gentleman. And she put him on, and I will call him Mr. Evasive, or actually, this is the lemon. The lemon. I asked, could he tell me what was wrong with it? Because I see that they had come before, and that was the number there to call in case of emergency or repair. And when I asked him the question, he said, well, I don't know what it could be. But he did say that he thinks now that that particular boiler was discontinued. I said, discontinued? Does that mean it's no longer functional? And he said, possibly, but if we could get the part, then it could function. I said, well, can you get the part? He said he wasn't sure. And I said, well, you've done this twice. So I said, you'd come before. And he said, oh, no, we've been twice before. Twice before. Now my ears perked up because, in all of the talks, he really wasn't giving me any answers. If you had been twice before, you know what was wrong with it the first time, right? It's like going to the doctor. We have a problem. Obviously, we're going back. It's a recurring problem or another problem because of the problem we had before, right? And so I was wondering, well, what is the difficulty? Can you just tell me what is wrong with it, mate? He couldn't. And let me equate that with the first kind of man you're going to meet, the boiler men. And this is Mr. Lemon. When you know he's a lemon, he's evasive, not giving you the answers. Don't squeeze. Don't squeeze. Sis, that he is just evading every single thing that you are asking of him. Communication's not there. You're not feeling him. He's not feeling you. Because over the phone, I'm pretty sure we're both getting annoyed. And, I've worked on myself in talking to customer service people because that is one of my pet peeve. Usually I get very annoyed. I'm working on it. Yes, help me, right? And I get it. These people are not the ones. And I do ask for the ones. Can I have the supervisor, people who can make the difference or who are making these crazy policies? And when she brought the plumber on, I thought that he would give me the answers. You'd been here twice before. You know what's going on. And it's the same thing with going back into relationships that you've been in before and expecting it to be different. If we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always gotten. So keep that in mind. Mr. Lemon is probably still a lemon because he's not doing the work you're doing, sis. He's not. He's not seeking to find what is that block that he has like you are. If you are here, then you're interested in knowing how to do this better, how to do relationships better. And I'm here to help. And so Mr. Lemon continued to be evasive, and he'll have to come and see, and it will be this much money and that much money. And I thought, okay, thanks, but no thanks. And I hung up, and I was comfortable with that because if you're like me, you're going to call around, especially for things like, you know, electricians and plumbers and so on, because people know people, right? And they've used them. And for those particular professions, you really have to be careful. No offense to any plumbers out there, love them. Got some in the fam. And so I did call my cousin who's married to a man in construction and another friend of mine who gave me about 3 different numbers. And it was a friend who gave me the number of the next person. And I called them up. There were 3 people, and I called one up. And I got this gentleman who, on the phone, he was diagnosing what it could be. Oh, it's this and it's that. He also knew that the boiler may be discontinued. However, if they could get the part, that would be a good thing, would save us thousands of dollars. And of course, we hear saving thousands of dollars. Who is not up for that? We were up for that. And so we asked, and we'll call this gentleman Mr. Fix-It. And I know, ladies, this is the one. He's wearing the right suit, the right clothes, the right uniform. Because on the phone, he just sounded wonderful as well, got the right voice. And he's giving me the answers saying, yes, it could be this and that. And if it's discontinued and we can't get it, then it will cost about this much. Well, actually, he did not give me a cost. He said he will come and look, but it's discontinued. And then, yes, we may have to go to the next level and so on. So he sounded like he could fix it. And I hear you and I feel you, ladies, because you see him, right? He's wearing that uniform. He's looking like he knows what he's about. You're lonely and feeling lonely. And Mr. Fix-It is telling you he has the answers. And on the phone, he had the answers. He said, he'll come and look. He charges this much. And if we use him, then we won't have to pay that initial fee, but he'll just charge us what it costs to fix it. Those were his words. So he's Mr. Fix-It. And I'm on the phone listening and I'm taken in by all of it. And I know you are too. Sometimes we're taken in by all of it. The way he looks, he's wearing the right clothes. He's just super dapper, right? And alluring and handsome and tall and dark. And all the things that we think that Mr. Fix-It will look like. But then he comes with an army of people. I wasn't home. My husband was home, thank God, because I'd like him to be there when I'm faced with these guys who come to tell us women, usually, right? Anything we want to hear or the wrong answer and we think it's right. And so he was home and he spoke to this gentleman who told him that, yes, the boiler, in fact, has been discontinued. And he had an army of people take things apart and put it back, like 4 or 5 other men working for him. So he wasn't the hands-on Mr. Fix-It. Others were fixing it for him. And so he doesn't get his hands dirty. Is that the person you want? The one who's not really into it. He's not really into you or into the relationship. Mr. Fix-It didn't fix it. He left and said to my husband, get some other quotes and then let me know. And in the next 2 days, I was waiting for him I asked, what did he say? And he said, get some quotes. So I got some quotes from the company. I call them back and say, what's a quote if we had to fix everything? And then I called my friend's friend. So this was my friend who's just working on her home and had her father-in-law who ran his own company. And she gave me his number and I called him. And here was the man who knew what he was doing. I'm going to call him Mr. Own It, because he owned his own business, plumbing company. So he was particular and correct. He didn't do plumbing and construction and everything else like some of the other people who came. And so Mr. Own It told us that he came, he looked at it himself, went into that basement and looked at everything himself. And he said, yes, this is discontinued, but actually not discontinued. This company was taken over by another. Therefore, it's out of state and he'd have to send out to get those parts. Whoa, the right answer, finally. He said, if it can be fixed, and he will try to fix it, he thinks this is what's wrong, and he diagnosed it there with his own hands, pulling things apart and looking at it himself, not allowing 3 or 4 other people to do it while he's standing there. And so he said, if they have the parts, and he called and found out that the parts were out of state and they won't be there for a few days. And he told us also that he would be out of state. He's on holiday. He was going on holiday. We're calling people in the middle of their life. And ladies, when you're calling the guy in the middle of his life, don't get perturbed about, oh, he's not answering or texting back like your teenagers. Everybody has a life. And so be aware that the life is continuing. Life is continuing. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about blended families because people have a lot going on in their lives. Okay. And so he told us that he would call and they will get it. He has a company that he uses to get parts. They told him that it would be available outside of the state. And so it will take a few days, but in the meantime, he's going to be on holiday. But when he returns, if it's not there, here's the next thing. Because I said, well, what's the next thing that we can do? If by chance they don't have it, doesn't come, can't be fixed, what's the next thing? He told us how we can change the whole system over. It's gas now to electric, which is what is coming in the future. So we could get a head start on that. Or we can do one thing at a time. One part, the water tank was fine. And so we're going to keep that. But the furnace, may need to be replaced. And here's what it would cost with labor. No one had told us that before. With labor. Like, what is the real cost of not finding the one you need that is the person who gets you and compliments you? What is the real cost of staying sad and lonely? And I tell you now that Mr. Own It just made it really clear. And I saw immediately the connection with love. And so he told us every little thing that we should expect in the relationship and that he can give. And when we talk about our expectations and tell people our expectations, we hope that they listen. So talk about your expectations. Listen to his expectations. We heard what he expected, what he thought would happen, and now we're just waiting to see what will happen. And of all the scenarios he gave us, one of those things will happen. So we're not in the dark. We know now what to expect. Should we save $5,000, $7,000 for a new furnace? Or will we be lucky, and I'm believing that one, and have those parts, which, will be a nominal amount, right? And so when you are looking and you are out there and you are manifesting that love that you want, look for Mr. Fix-It. Not Mr. Fix-It, because he's not going to fix it. Look for Mr. Own It. Because when you are owning who you are, what you are, and you're walking in that confidence of who you are, Mr. Own It will own you. When you own everything about yourself, Mr. Own It will come in and own you and all that you are, the authentic you that you are. Somebody likes what you are and who you are, right? And so don't you worry about Mr. Fix It, Mr. Evasive, Mr. Not So Into You, because think of all of these scenarios that I brought up today. And in your life, you've met these kinds of people, these kinds of men who they really are not there for you. They really are not giving you all the information. And even when we call for things like this, we have an emergency, there's a flood, there's a fire, and we call people. Now, we know when we're talking to them whether they're fulfilling our needs or not. And I can tell you, from the moment I started talking to that company and they told me they had been here twice before, and they were evasive about, well, what is wrong with it then? And they couldn't or wouldn't tell me. That was it. That was it. Now, I did a whole video on red flags. Go back and take a look, because yes, those are one of the biggest red flags. The evasiveness, the lack of communication, the not saying yay or nay. It's important that you get that and you understand. We have women's intuition. It's there. You know what it is. You know you have it when you feel it. And on the phone, I could feel all of those things. And when Mr. Own It came, I felt that too, because it was a little annoying that it wasn't going to be fixed for another 3 whole days. Can you imagine? And I'm here in the room now, and it really isn't cold. Thank God it's warm outside. And, you know, we are able to function. But I know that Thursday, which is from the time I'm filming, there's going to be another 2 days or so, it will be resolved. And that's what we want. We want clarity. We want peace of mind. We want to know. And when you're feeling like you don't know, when you're feeling like I don't get it, or is he, isn't he, all of this inconsistency and angst is unnecessary in love. And especially when you know what you want, you've put it out in the universe, you've made your desire clear, and you know who you are and what you want. All of your values are clear. There is no place then to feel, you know, that you don't know what's happening and that it's okay. When there's a Mr. Fix It comes along and you think that's the one because he's dressed right, because he's talking right, because he's giving you some information, but not enough. You know when it's not enough. You feel the not enough because he's not enough. And when that gentleman went away and he never answered any more text, it was obvious to me. You know, my husband's like, well, you know, he said to get quotes and go back to him. I said, we don't need to go back to him. He doesn't really want to do this. He's not really into it. He's not, you know, there was a movie or something a couple of years ago said he's not really into you. And you know this. Sometimes we do know, ladies. And if you know that he's not really into you, just let it go. Let it go. So let's recap the 3 kinds of men that you might meet and how to manage them. And so there is the lemon. So I call them the lemon company. You know, it's all wrong. They're not giving you any answers. There's no communication there. There's no boundaries. All the things we've spoken about before, they are missing all of it. That's a lemon, Mr. Lemonade. I don't care what Beyonce said. No, we are not going to squeeze it. We don't want that lemonade, right? So I don't really know the song, but in this context, the lemon is not good. It's sour. It's bitter. The lemon, because they sold this home, this lemon, you know, furnace, and now they're behaving as if they have no idea what's going on. So that's a lemon, and that's like some men that you will encounter. He'll be a lemon. Leave it alone. Don't squeeze. You know right away if you should squeeze or not. Don't. It's a lemon. Mr. Lemon can just go. And next, we have Mr. Fix-It, right? Mr. Fix-It sounds right, looks right, smells right, tall, dark, and handsome. And you think he's going to fix everything for you because he's wearing that uniform that you like. He's wearing that suit. He's dressed right. He speaks. He smells good. You know, I had a friend of mine, and she was telling me that she went on a date and how on this date he showed up and he was a bit older than he said he was. People do that, right? But he was dressed nice, smelled nice, looked nice, and they had a really good date. It was fine, right? But he compensated for he lied about how he looked to his age, by how he was dressed nice, looked nice. And in this case, it was okay. Thank you, sir, for redeeming yourself that way. But if that was all that he had, not only did he lie about his age, and then he was trying to just play it off by being, Mr. Fix-It, that would not fly. So beware of these things. You know it's there. You've been through this. I don't have to tell you. Because when Mr. Own It shows up, you will know it, you'll feel it. Many of us know when we have problems like this, you own a home and things break down, and the people we call in to fix it, it's touch and go. It is. And sometimes in relationships, it feels like that. But if we take the time to just listen, to be guided by our intuition, to be guided by what we know is right and feels right and knows right. And I know you're saying, yes, sometimes Mr. Fix-It feels right and looks right, smells right, but isn't. And that's when you have to go the extra step to find out what's really going on there. And so with Mr. Own It, we stayed in touch. He was on holiday out of state, but he said, call me and I will call you if I get the part. But, I won't be back until certain time, and then I will come straight to fix it then. That's communication. That is owning it. That is what you're looking for. If you have found this helpful, please, please, please tell your friends and follow me on every platform. This has been Lady Love, and I'm Joan Kenyon-Woods. Follow me on Joan Kenyon-Woods, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now soon to be on TikTok and YouTube. So this has been another episode of Lady Love. I'm excited to be here to help you find your heart's guardian. And remember to seek to ask for what you want. Seek to become the thing that you're asking for so that he can knock down all the barriers to the one who finds you and become your heart's guardian. This is Joan Kenyon-Woods. Until next time, this has been Lady Love.